We should be live now. Just gonna double check things real quick, guys. Huh. Oh, online and ready. One sec, guys. Alright, I should be live now. One sec, guys. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Give me 1 second. Trying to fix some things right now because my format is completely different, which I will explain in 1 second. Alright, I don't need that tab up. I have high encoding for some weird reason. 1 second, let me pull up the chat here. Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, guys? Oh my gosh. Welcome. Yeah, Death Note. Yeah, it's one of my favorite anime, so I'm wearing the shirt today. So, a couple of things. Number one, I have a different setup that I usually don't do, and that actually, how's the audio, by the way? Does my voice sound okay? Is everything good? Welcome to the stream, everybody. I would call you guys out by username, but there's just too many people going up and down the chat right now. But thank you guys all for joining. I appreciate it very much. Audio's good? All right, nice. So, I had kind of technical difficulties, which happened immediately after I tweeted out that I was going to be streaming. The second laptop that I have, which is right here, it's like right here, you guys can't see it, but I have my brother's second laptop here that I use primarily for the chat, and then I use this one just for OBS to, record all of the stuff that I do. And right now it's configuring Windows features, and it's been doing this ever since I put out my tweet about almost an hour ago, and it's only at 16%. So I'm kind of conflicted now of how I'm going to interact with you guys. So I actually have OBS and the chat up on this one laptop. I have the video footage right here, and then right off to the side right here I have a small chat window for you guys. I also have the chat up on my phone, if you guys can see that. I have the chat up as well on my phone, so I can see you guys here. So for the most part, I'll either be looking at my phone at the chat to respond to what you guys are saying, or I'll be looking on the side of my screen. So I don't want you guys to think like I'm texting or not paying attention to you guys. I definitely just want that to be addressed first and foremost. And then as usual, whether you guys were here last week or not, I'm going to try somehow to keep this as concise and brief as possible, just because I was supposed to live stream this yesterday, but I got caught up babysitting, so I couldn't stream. I couldn't do the live stream yesterday, and it's kind of the reason why I do it on Sunday is specifically because the episode comes out for first members on Saturday, so I can't really do it on Saturdays. Sunday it comes out for everybody on the RT site, and I want that to be kind of like the best opportunity for anybody who is able to watch it as soon as possible to be involved in these, which is why I upload them too for anybody who doesn't make it on time. They can watch it whenever they catch up with the episodes. And another reason why it's on Sunday is because Monday is the worst, probably the worst time for me to do it, because that is when the RT podcast starts. I'm starting it at 6 right now in the hopes that I will finish before 8:30 my time, Eastern Standard Time, for the RT podcast, which is at 8:30. So I have basically 2.5 hours to work into this episode. And last week, it was like a 20-minute episode, including the opening, and that almost went for 4 hours. So for the most part, I'm going to try to break this down into 3 separate layers, talking about Weiss and her family, that portion, talking about RWBY, the whole, the Team Ranger interactive part with, going to Shion Village, and then wrapping up with the very end, which was so fucking bittersweet to watch and go through, and you guys will be able to see all of that in my reaction this weekend. But before anything, how is everybody's day? How's everyone's Halloween? Is anybody going trick-or-treating, or did you guys already do stuff over the weekend? Because I know like Halloween on a Monday is kind of lame. Happy Halloween. Thank you guys. Happy Halloween to you guys as well. I literally just said that, and then I looked in the chat and I just see everybody tweeting Happy Halloween. Let's see. Yeah, so this is going to be really fun. This is going to be really fun to interact with the chat and do this whole thing. So if this is your first time in the chat, like in a live stream, because some people actually mentioned that this is going to be their first time in the stream, how this is going to work is I'm going to be talking about the episode not in order this time around. This time around, like I said, I'm going to talk about Weiss and her family first, then Team Ranger, and then the ending of the episode. I'm going to do it in that way because in this episode it kind of bounced back and forth, which actually I like the pacing of the episode because it bounced from Weiss to Ranger, back to Weiss to Ranger, and I really like that, but in terms of reviewing purposes, it doesn't really go that well. So I'm going to, like again, Weiss, Ranger, and then the ending. So I'm basically going to be talking, commentating, giving my thoughts, opinions, a live kind of review, if you will, and I'm going to have pictures on the side here complimenting everything that I'm talking about, stuff like that. And that's basically how I did my live stream last week. It was really well received. A lot of people were able to kind of get questions and their thoughts in the chat. And it was just a great way for all of us to be involved with one another and to pretty much, make it a general discussion instead of just me reviewing live and people just sitting and listening. So that's basically what we're going to be doing today. Give me 1 second. I just need to check on something before we start. Thank you all, by the way, for joining. It's pretty crazy that, like, on top of the fact, like I said, it was supposed to be yesterday, and it was last minute. I was like, a couple of hours beforehand, I was like, I can't do it. I have to do it tomorrow, and there's still almost 300 people already here, so thank you guys so much. I appreciate it very much. And without further ado, I think we can just jump right in and start. The health of the stream is yellow, which isn't that bad. It's just because I have so many things on the chat, on the screen at once. So that's just something we're going to have to deal with. It's no problem. All right. Hey, what's up, Element115? Thanks for joining. Oh, nice. There's a ton of people in here. Holy shit. Yes, I have a ton of videos in the pipeline, wristwatch. Yeah, last week was crazy. We had over, I think we peaked at 1,010 viewers last week, which was pretty insane. I kind of feel like that was just the peak of it, just because it was the premiere and it was a lot of people who wanted to just dive into like discussions and what other people thought of it and my personal opinion and take on it as well. So that's kind of like the general idea of how I feel like the streams are going to be going from here on out. So there's that. But we are going to be starting this very, very soon, and I think I need to change something around really quick. It'll kind of make my environment area a little bit better. So give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to leave you with this. Be right back. I apologize in advance for any Yang fans out there, but give me 1 second, and I'll be right back. You guys can probably still hear me. I'm just moving things around right now. I'm still alive, guys. No, I didn't fart. My mouse fell on the floor. Jeez, someone would ask that. All right. I think we should be... Oh, there we go. All right. Give me 1 second. I got to fix this really quick. And that should be good. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Yes. Okay, there we go. We are good now. I just moved it now so my laptop isn't over here, and I have more room to look at the chat and see you guys, and it's actually a lot closer for me. Are you unzipping the laptop? No. Murder podcast, I wish. All right, so we should be back. Hopefully you guys are a bit more excited and looking forward to this now. I do apologize. It's just everything else is kind of all over the place. But yeah, so we're going to be starting initially with this. Let's see. So many poster rolls. Oh my god, you have no fucking idea. There's 2 on the extra side that you don't see. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's like 12 posters over there alone, just Rooster Teeth posters. I just don't have any frames for them, and I only have the Volume 3 one in the background. But yeah, I kind of have, I don't want to say I have a problem, but I want to have as many posters, but I don't even have enough wall space for it at this point. And they just came out with 5 other posters, like the Volume 4 poster, and then the RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang ones by Jody Steele. So like I want to get those too, but at this point it's kind of an issue. But yeah, give me 1 sec, guys. Wow, there's almost 400 people here. So we've been here for about 10 minutes. It's a good time for us to kind of kick in and start things up. Let's see. I sent you a theory about Hazel. Yeah, I did see it. The Hazel bush. I think the Grimm fairy tale of the Hazel bush. Yeah, I did see that, by the way. Do you believe in destiny? Oh my fucking god. Okay, so starting this up, like I said, we're going to be starting with Weiss's kind of venture back at home with her family. We have Weiss here. From the last episode, she got called by her father. Klein came and gave her the mention, which Klein's a fucking badass. Klein's so awesome. And I will get to that in a second. So the first thing I'll say is she has got a gigantic fucking house. It is just her, Winter, her brother, her mother, and her father. And they have like this giant mansion complex. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like she's walking from one side of the house to the other just to go and see her father and, you know, see him in his study. And I liked this scene right here too, especially because like the iron soldier, like the statue, basically, this kind of reminds me of the armored knight from her trailer. And then she's got a picture of it in her room too, but the one in her room has the sword. So again, I don't know if that's kind of more of an inspiration of why the armored knight is her summon. Maybe it's just because it's an influence of her family or whatever. But I thought that was pretty cool to just see that. The King Taijutsu as well. This is kind of like, this reminded me of, like if you ever go to like a wedding, or if you ever like picture those really high nobility kind of parties, you'll see like the swan, like the ice swan sculptures. I kind of thought of that as this as well. And, you know, I figured they'd have something like this in their house. And the whole time Weiss is walking, her head's just down. She's super fucking depressed. It's almost depressing to see how life is like being back at home. Her brother even mentioned too, it's like, oh, it's great to see you out of your room for a change. So it's kind of like she doesn't want to be there. And despite, like, I know some people are like, well, maybe she decided to go back home. It's like, no, I think if anything, her father forced her to go back, which was very, very unfortunate to see. Yeah, it's not a mansion, it's a fucking castle. It's the White Castle. Yeah, I mean, like, her house is fucking enormous. And she's, like, literally, like I said, she's walking from one side of the house to the next just to see her dad. And, for the most part, like, again, like, she's walking through here, so we have a piano, obviously, I would assume they know how to play instruments, Weiss knows how to sing, and all that other kind of stuff. We see a picture of her brother, which I flipped the fuck out, because I thought, I didn't know, like, nobody, I don't think anyone thought that she had a brother. We've never heard of her brother, we've never heard of her mother either, so the fact that she has a brother and the fact that her mother is actually alive was super shocking to me in this episode, because I mentioned it in my last reaction, my last week's discussion. I mentioned, like, we don't hear about anybody's mothers in the show. Ruby's mother's dead, Weiss's mother was never mentioned. I almost assume maybe her mother died, like, I don't know, giving birth, or just died over time, just because, like, she was never mentioned. Up until this point, we didn't know if Blake had a family, and Yang's mother, like Raven, was out of the picture for the most part. So it was kind of like, there's no mother figures at all, but it seems like there is now with Blake in the opening with her dad and her mom, and then now kind of not even seeing, but just getting word that her mother is in the picture, which I thought was very, very interesting. Um, yeah, like her mother was never mentioned, but at the same time, because like her father was only mentioned, like her father's company, her grandfather's company, her father was always come home furious. Like and then like even Weiss like Winter mentioned like, oh, move back home. I'm sure Dad will give you a job as a receptionist and all this other stuff. Like it almost felt like they didn't have their mother in their life, or I guess even now it seems like they don't, because we find out that for the most part her mother seems to be an alcoholic, seems to drink. So hey, Nico Lee, no, you are not late. I literally just started, like, initially. Like, we're only at the very, very beginning parts of the discussion. So here is where we kind of get, like, her brother, Whitley Schnee. And, like I said, I flipped out when I saw this, because the opening kind of gives us imply, like, it didn't imply anything, but when you see the opening, you see Klein, and from the first episode, we know that he's the butler, and you see Whitley too, but I just assumed, I was like, okay, that's her other butler that we don't know about. Like, obviously, she's got tons of people who, like watch over her, or, you know, caretake to the family hand and foot. So I just figured he was another butler, but it seems like that's her youngest sibling. She's the middle child, Winter's older, and he's the youngest. And Whitley, more like little Shitley, am I right? Yeah, I think somebody in the subreddit mentioned that. It's like Whitley, more like Shitley. But yeah, he comes off as very snarky, very smug, and I don't know if any of you guys, musical gamer, no, you're not late. I'm literally just talking about the very first part of the episode with Weiss and, you know, her father, you know, going to see her dad, and we kind of stopped right here to talk about Whitley for a bit. Do me a favor, guys. Type in the chat if you are the oldest sibling. If you have, well, you would have to type one in the chat if you are the oldest sibling, if you have other, like, brothers and sisters and stuff like that. Type 1 in the chat if you have an oldest sibling, and type 2 in the chat if you have more than 2 siblings and you're the oldest. I only say this because, for the most part, I think, like, I remember in high school, my psychology teacher was talking to us about this, and he mentioned that when you, like, being a parent and just growing up as a parent and raising kids, it's almost like every parent goes through the same things. Your first child that you have is kind of like your first kid. Like, the first child is the one that you, quote unquote, make all the mistakes with if you ever have other kids in the future. Like, the first child is like all of the things you're doing right, all the things you're doing wrong. You don't really know how to be a parent necessarily because it's your first kid. So for the most part, your first child is the one that you have a lot of the expectations for, setting an example for the younger siblings once they have more kids, etc., and just setting a standard as they grow up. The second child is more like, I'm the middle kid. So I have an older sister. She's a year and a half older than me. And then there's me. And then there's my brother, who's 4 years younger than me. And growing up, my sister was always the one that had to set the example, being the oldest child. And I'm the oldest son. So my sister's the oldest daughter, I'm the oldest son, and then my brother's the youngest of the three of us. And for me, for the most part, I was the one that kind of was the refined child. I was the one that they made all of the corrections for, having that experience, for having a first kid for the first time, knowing the do's and don'ts, things to do, things not to do, things to learn from, etc. And for the most part, that's typically how it goes for any second child. But, and I don't want to generalize this, but I'm a strong believer that it's always, if not the third child or the last child, that is usually the spoiled one. It's usually the third child, when the parents know, like, I'm not going to have kids anymore, etc., that the third child is just spoiled fucking rotten. And that is very much the case for me. My brother was very spoiled compared to my brother and my sister. We usually were the ones that were disciplined a lot more growing up, or the ones that were, you know, had it a lot harder, had more expectations to set, and had a lot more that, like, our parents expected more of us, being the oldest ones, and etc. And my brother, for the most part, could get away with murder. And I feel like every family has that. Every family has that kind of golden child that can do no wrong in their parents' eyes. And unless you're an only child, which is a completely different thing that doesn't. It's not a part of this because Weiss, he's not an only child, but it seems like that's the case for Whitley. And as I go on in this, I'll mention that too. But he seems to be the one. He seems to be the favorite of the three, and just how he talks to Weiss, and how he references like Winter. Like he doesn't get along with Winter, and like his whole interaction here, like she's talking to him like, what do you want? And then she's like, oh, Dad wants to speak with you. He seems really upset. I just wanted to warn you. Like it's always something that she has to be on her toes about when it comes to her dad, like making sure that he's not upset when she talks to him. And I don't know if he was. I captured this shot right here. I really liked the lighting and the reflection of like the floor, like the tiles on the floor. I just really liked the shot. That's why I put it in here. But basically them two talking right here, he kind of had a genuine face like, I just wanted to warn you that Dad's upset and I know you're going to talk to him. And the face that she gave made it seem like that's like the worst time to, be around their dad is when he's upset, when he's pissed off, basically. And she's mentioned it too, that her dad was always very angry and always came home furious, and that made things really tough for her growing up. And it kind of sucked. It kind of sucks to see her like that. Like, I'll be fine. Like, to say I'll be fine would imply kind of like I can deal with whatever it is that he's going to dish out. So I felt really bad for her. I felt actually really scared for her because immediately after, when she's going to the door, all you can do is hear him screaming like whoever the hell he was talking to. But yeah, I felt really, really bad. Like, I don't know if he's physically abusive. At first, prior to her trailer, I kind of thought that she got her scar from her dad, and that could even reinforce more of why she had a troubled childhood. Maybe she was abused. Not abused in the sense of like child abuse, but abused in the sense of like if she ever talked back to her dad, or if her dad just got too pissed and lost control, like he would hit her or something out of just frustration or whatever, and almost a way to kind of teach her place, maybe not talk back or anything like that. So I felt really scared for her initially, and I was really glad that Ironwood was there to kind of like settle things, like take things down a notch up until the point that he left. But yeah, like Whitley for the most part seems like the kid that can do no wrong, the one that doesn't really get in trouble that much. He doesn't like Winter, which was really strange because it's like, Winter's the oldest. You came third, so why wouldn't you like your oldest sibling? If anything, I would think it's reversed, because growing up, I resented my brother. I fucking hate, me and my brother hated each other when we were kids, and I kind of resented the fact that he was very spoiled growing up. He used to get everything he wanted. He never used to earn anything that he had, and for the most part, I felt like I deserved a lot of the stuff that he got, and that kind of resentment is like a normal thing. So, if anything, I would think that Winter and Weiss wouldn't really like Whitley that much, but it seems it's reversed. Like, he never liked Winter. And I'm wondering why. It's like, why don't you like your older sister? Maybe she doesn't set the example that he's expecting as the oldest sibling to carry the honor, carry the legacy as the heir. She ended up going into the military probably as a way to dodge that responsibility. Weiss tried to do the same thing going back to Beacon, and obviously the fall of Beacon didn't turn out the fall of Beacon meant that she had to fall back in line with that. And I was talking to a friend of mine, my friend Jackson, and we were both talking about like the successorship. Like, if it seems like because Whitley is the youngest, it seems like Papa Schnee is taking into consideration age over gender for someone to carry on his legacy of being the heir. Weiss and Winter don't want that responsibility. It seems like Whitley is almost kind of groomed into being the next heir, but maybe because he is younger, he's got a few more years of himself, he's just deciding, well, I have my daughters, and I'm going to try to kind of groom them the way that I want them to be, despite the fact that that's what they want, that's what's best for my company, that's what's best for making money, that's what's best for our image and our prestige and all that stuff as nobility. So I think that's another reason why they're almost forced into that, because it's like, if you have a child, if you have a son, for the most part, the male is the one that kind of like continues the honor or continues the legacy of the family name. So because, Whitley's still young, maybe it's the fact that he's just deciding, I need to have my daughters, who are a lot older, a lot more experienced, etc., take up that mantle. So, hey, what's up, Sam Trox? How much did you miss? Not much, I guess. I've only been streaming. I've only been talking about the episode for about 10 minutes now, but for the most part, you haven't really missed much. I'm just talking pretty much right now about Whitley and his kind of role in the family as the youngest child, and you know, the whole successorship of the Schnee name and stuff like that. So maybe Jacques is making sure third time is the charm by shaping the next. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, the third child, like I said, he's kind of maybe spoiled, or maybe he's the favorite, quote unquote, the favorite of the three siblings of his of the father. And I'm very much aligned with agreeing with that, Dan, that since he's the third child, third time's the charm, it's a boy, he seems to be in line with everything, hasn't abandoned home, he hasn't gone to another school, he lives at home, he listens to his dad or whatever. His dad has pictures of him everywhere, like on his desk in the piano room, so it seems he's very taken of him. So for the most part, that's what I'm thinking as well. Arnold, baller shirt, thank you very much. It's a Death Note shirt, and if you look higher up, you have like Ryuk and Kita, aka L, talking for 10 minutes, 30 seconds in. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so for the most part, that's how this kind of reflected for me. This shot right here was very, very, I don't know how to say, it was just very uneasy. Because she mentioned, you seem different. And, no. This was the scene that he was like, don't worry, you're strong, like Winter is. And I don't know why, but the fact that it's a really long hallway and he's just standing in the center, like perfect posture and everything, it just felt really odd to me. I felt very uneasy with him as a character. Just basically like talking to her or whatever. We don't know much about him. We don't know what his values are and how he views things of, you know, his sisters or his family or what's going on with the company or what his place is in, you know, the story or whatever, or how that's going to come to fruition. But I don't know. I just felt like it was very odd. Musical Gamer, please answer my question. How do you make reaction videos? What software do you use? I use a C920 webcam. I use Sony Vegas Pro 13 to edit my videos, and you just overlay one video on top of the other, and you're good. So that's basically, in a nutshell, that's how you do it. Those legs, though. I never stopped to think about that, but yeah, he's got really long fucking legs. He's got like daddy long legs. But yeah, and right here she mentions you never liked Winter, and he's like, yeah, you know, that's true, but you can't deny her resolve. So it's like, why? Okay, you just acknowledged her resolve, so why don't you like her? I don't know. It's very odd. He's just very I don't know. It's very hard to put a finger on him as a character just because we don't know anything about him. We just know that he's the youngest child. He seems to be the favorite. He's been growing from what he's told. Her, he's like right here. She mentioned that he seems different, and he's like, I've been growing since you've been away. So honestly, I feel like he's very much mature as I don't know if he's a huntsman or a person that's going to be going into the military or whatever. But I have a lot of hopes for him as a character in terms of what he can bring to the table as a huntsman, or again as an official in terms of his position in the Schnee Dust Company or whatever. Yeah, he is very, very shady. Arranged marriage? What do you mean by that? Like, well, yeah, somebody mentioned that too. Yeah, so Jacques Schnee, I think that's like a reference to Jack Frost, which is what I was hoping. Like, I really was hoping that somebody in Weiss's family would be referenced to Jack Frost, because they're kind of going with the whole winter snow kind of theme with the family. So you got Winter, you have Snow White, which is basically Weiss's name backwards in German. You have Jacques Schnee, which would be cool that he's Jack Frost, which then we would need one for the mother as well. And I don't know what Whitley Schnee means, if that has any type of, if there's any type of German reference with his name or anything like that. But that's also pretty cool too. But I'd be really surprised if he knows how to summon already. Being the youngest person, he mentioned, he was like, I've been growing since you were away at Beacon. And that kind of says a lot based on the fact that every Schnee has the ability to summon. I'm pretty sure he has like his own private lessons, like fencing or anything like that, or just training in general. And everybody in the family seems to have like a rapier or an estoc as a weapon. Like Weiss has a rapier. Winter has like dual wielding. She has like a rapier and an estoc, and then obviously we don't know the others, but I would think that all of them have a familiar fighting style, which would be super fucking cool. Whitley stands for white. Whitley stands for white shit. White Meadow. Okay. Whitley is given Anglo-Saxon meaning for white meadow. Okay, that's pretty cool. Why did you not stream yesterday? I had to babysit my nieces. I mentioned it on Twitter, so majority of people who knew that I was going to be continuing streaming already knew about it, but there's no way for me to inform people on YouTube. I don't want to make a video. It's like, hey, I'm not going to be streaming today. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. So that's kind of why I prefer people, if they have a Twitter, to just follow me there, because they'll know if something's up. If I'm not making a video when a video should be out, then, you know, if anything, they can keep up to date on anything that I have to mention here. So yeah, Wet Willie. But yeah, so, well, let's see. He actually looks like Jack Frost from Rise of the Guardians, but smartly dressed. Babysitter. Yeah, I have 3 nieces. I was babysitting 2 of them yesterday. So, that's why my stream was delayed until today. And then we have this family portrait, which again speaks for itself. You have the females who are very depressed and just look like they don't enjoy their lives at all. And then you have the son who's just like, I love my life, I'm so happy. And the dad is just there to obviously making, you know, he wants everything to look good. But it's very depressing. Like the mother too, Whitley mentioned she's out in the garden drinking again. It's like, so she's resorted to kind of just not dealing with any of this and just drinking her problems away from the stress or just being depressed for whatever. And that's very unfortunate, and it seems like maybe she isn't the parental figure that we all could have thought or hoped for, which is probably why she's never been mentioned, because like I mentioned, I felt like her mother was dead or wasn't alive anymore, or wasn't around, because no one ever talks about her. No one ever mentioned anything about her. So similar to like Summer or Raven, like Raven was gone most of Yang's life, so that's probably why we didn't get any mention of her. We didn't get any mention of Summer, but we knew that she was already dead from the start of the series, so that's understandable. So the fact that her mother is alive, but just kind of in the background, kind of just doing whatever, not really being any type of, not having a presence essentially, was very surprising to actually be like, what the fuck, her mother? Like when she said mother, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is her mother alive and not even around? And again, like Winter, the oldest, she seems very unhappy with everything. And they're just putting on a display right here for a family photo, which obviously doesn't go off that well because it shows that they're unhappy. So there's that. And then again, Whitley, the favorite, the youngest child, kind of has things going for him, very easygoing. He's properly groomed. He just looks like, you know, he just likes his life, which is unfortunate compared to the others. Would you like to speak or learn German? That'd be pretty cool, honestly. I'd like to learn any language besides domestic abuse. Well, Weiss mentioned that her family was they just had a rough childhood growing up because their dad's company was there was always one thing or another with the dust company, and it's not like they lived their lives, you know, having really upbeat, energetic parents who loved and cared about them and put them first before anything. So they had an alcoholic mother and a very aggressive father. So, and they only had each other. So that was something else that was just it's very sad, you know, because it's almost like they missed out on their childhood growing up. Winter was never able to be a kid. She's the youngest, so she's the oldest, so she has an example to set for her siblings. She probably was expected of a lot growing up until she went to the military. So for the most part, she was probably bantered the same way Weiss is now with her dad. So for the most part, I feel worse for Winter than anything else. Like Weiss is in the same situation now, but she has a way out. She kind of has a way out, being the fact that she went to Beacon and she knows who she can be versus what her family and her father want her to become. So, and then Whitley, just, you know, fuck him. Like, we don't know shit about him. And for the most part, I'm not really on board with, you know, I want to know what Whitley's all about and, you know, what his resolve is and how he feels about everything. Because for the most part, he seems very fine with everything. So there's that. And then, like I said, right here, she's going to see her dad. And her dad's already yelling at the top of his lungs at, like, whatever argument that was going on with him in Ironwood. So I felt really scared for her. And she almost didn't want to open the door either. So, hold on, give me 1 second. Let me just double check this really quick. So yeah, for the most part, I felt really scared for her right at the beginning. Oh man. Well, no. I'm still gonna be focusing on the family, on Weiss and everything going on with her before I shift over to Ranger. And so right here, hold on, let me fix all of these other images just because I don't want to have high encoding right now. So give me 1 second. I have a different format going on right here. So we have Ironwood and Papa Schnee talking it out, and for the most part, it's not like so. I'm one of two minds with this whole thing, because you have Ironwood, who's placed a dust embargo based on the events that happened in Volume 3. He's trying to be precautious. He always has been. He's always been, you know, prepared for things, and just he's always just been overprotective for things for the people for the citizens and for Atlas and such. And for the most part, this is where I was just like, Papa Schnee is a real fucking dickhead. Like, I fucking hate this guy. I can't stand him already. He's thinking about millions of dollars, millions of lien that he's lost, and the fact that Ironwood's precaution is at a cost for him, even though he's putting on this facade of, oh, this isn't about my company, this is about the people of Atlas, our kingdom, and, you know, everything like that. So, but it's like a double-edged sword here. So Ironwood has put an embargo on dust, so that way the other kingdoms don't have a means of upping arms in case they're going to go at war. Like, people don't trust Atlas. People think Atlas is responsible for what happened to Beacon and Vale based on what they saw. Like, the last thing they saw was the Elysian Knights and Paladins attacking people, and the Grim overrunning the city and the school. So Ironwood knows that there's something going on here. So he's going above and beyond. He's like, okay, I'm going to stop the shipment of dust, no ammunition, no resources for anybody who wants to, you know, turn their power towards us, and no ammunition or any sort of resources for whoever's leading this conspiracy. But at the same time, you're kind of screwing people out of protecting themselves. Salem and Cinder and everybody else, their next target is Haven. So they're going to be targeting Haven next. How the hell is Haven supposed to protect themselves if they don't have dust? They don't have their ammunition, they don't have their rounds, and they don't have, you know, they don't have any resources, because dust is made its way into everything. Like, without dust, you can't power things, you can't function. Like, companies are going to be going out of business. Like the shopkeeper, like, from dusk till dawn is going to be going out of business because they're not going to have dust to sell. You have weapon shops that aren't going to be able to work, like, based on their ammunition for dust rounds and cartridges and all that other stuff. And I don't know if that's going to come back to bite them, because what I'm thinking now is, okay, the embargo's in place. You have nobody can get ammo, nobody can get resources, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have Tyrion and Watts and Hazel and Salem and Cinder and the Grim attack Haven. Haven's not gonna have resources or ammunition to protect themselves, and to me, I feel like people are gonna look to Atlas. People are gonna be like, you set us up. You knew that they were gonna attack us, and you specifically halted any kind of resources for us to protect ourselves because of that. On top of the fact that a lot of people already think that Atlas was the reason why Beacon and Vale fell. So I don't think this was a good shot. I don't think this was a good call on Ironwood's part. Like, I understand what he's doing, but he knows that there's other people out there. There's a conspiracy out there. He knows that there are people targeting what's going on, what's happening. But I don't know. Like, he's pretty much he's pretty much sheltering. I don't know how to word it, but he's kind of holding everybody hostage at this point until he can be sure that no one will attack them. And I don't know if that was a good call. Like I said, this is going to come back to them if Haven gets attacked and they don't have the resources to protect themselves because of Ironwood's embargo. People are going to see that as Atlas's other attempts to kind of keep a kingdom defenseless and have no means of protecting themselves. And Vale is already worse off because they don't even try to protect themselves. Vale doesn't worry about their survival because they're natural barriers. So I feel like for the most part, aside from the huntsmen and huntresses, it sucks for them because they don't have a means. They don't worry about their survival. They just worry about living their lives from the world of Remnant. So they were already doomed beyond the people being able to help them. Haven kind of has, or Mistral has a lot better chance because there are still people like innovative forward thinkers who are keeping their survival, intact based on the land and the sculpt of the land and the nature and the aspect of that. But I don't know. It seems very odd that at this point everyone's isolated, and this embargo is going to kind of make things a bit worse for people. I don't know. It felt. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me to know that he's willing to do something like this for the betterment of preventing a war. So there's that, and then his outfit too. He looks a lot cooler. He has obviously a slight design change, which isn't much. And he was in the opening too. I don't know why, but everybody has a fucking coattail now. Like Blake has one, Yang has one, Ren has one, and now Ironwood has one with his coat. You can kind of see it in this shot right here when he's sitting down. Like you can kind of see the coattail when he's sitting down. It's like everyone has a coattail in the show now. So it's kind of cool to see that. But it's kind of like, damn, everybody and their mother has one now. So it's kind of something that I just noticed. Hubba hubba. Yeah, and we already know that he's like part machine, part human. So it's kind of cool to see that. And it seems like his facial, like everything's just been fixed up on him. I don't know if he just has artificial skin over the metal or like the cyborg part of his body. I'm assuming that just because he's got like part of the metal part on his head, and we already saw what he looked like at the end of Volume 3. Coattail Nation, pretty much. Yeah, Coattail's kind of run in the RWBY in the RWBY universe at this point. But yeah, I just thought Iron Daddy, Jesus Christ. I thought you were gonna say Big Daddy. That would have been pretty cool too. Do you think that the butler is based off of the? I will get to Klein. Klein is so fucking awesome. I love him so much. I love Klein so much now. But yeah, so we get to see Ironwood. He's got kind of like a 4 o'clock shadow going on, which makes him look a lot more masculine or whatever. And I like how he kind of reassured things for Weiss, kind of eased her father down, because before he was just shouting at the top of his lungs. And, at the end of everything, he calmed down a bit. And the next thing that I'm going to show you guys right here, I was rewatching the episode yesterday, and I saw this shot right here. And I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Arthur memes. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Arthur memes, like Arthur's fist, like the fist memes. And I went along and I made one. I made one yesterday, and a ton of people liked it on Twitter. And I thought it was just really funny. But here it is right here. When a dust embargo has the potential to prevent a war, but all you care about is the millions of dollars lost. #RWBY. I just thought of that, and immediately I was like, oh my god, that reminds me of the Arthur meme, so I'm gonna use this. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, Dan, I saw your thing, like your spunk up thing, you were like, boy. But yeah, I don't even get the Arthur memes. I just think that they're funny based on whatever text that they have. But I thought this worked. I was like, oh my god, this is just too good. I have to capitalize on this. So I decided to use that. But again, it's kind of fucked up how Papa Schnee... I'm just going to call him Papa Schnee just because it's a lot easier to say than Jacques Schnee. But I feel like I hate how Papa Schnee is kind of just thinking about himself. Like, he's a businessman first and a father... and a father/husband second, which is really, really, really messed up. Despite nobility, like, I don't care what people say about, oh, well, that's just how high society works, and that's just how, nobility is. They're all about prestige and appearance and, stuff like that. It's like, you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have millions of dollars, millions of yen, you have a successful business, fucking industry business that everybody in the world depends on. So you're very much like, you're settled. You live in a giant ass mansion and you're still stressed. You're still unhappy, which is, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just a commoner. Maybe that's just because of how I was raised and how I was brought up to not value money and value material possessions. But it like Winters, I mean, Weiss isn't even like that. I mean, initially she was kind of like a bitch at the start of the series, but she's kind of opened up a lot more, and she doesn't come off like that. She doesn't, come off like that anymore. But I don't know. It just felt very much like he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about anything or anyone. He just cares about his bottom line. And that meme again. And I appreciate Ironwood a lot more. I remember in Volume 2 when he first came on the scene, and I was so skeptical about him. I was like, I do not trust this guy at all. He seems very cautious of everything. Like, he doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't trust Ozpin. He says he trusts him, but he doesn't show it. And it wasn't until the late Volume 3 that I was kind of on board with Ironwood, and just the fact that he's just overprotective, he's overcautious, which is, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. In his case, it turned out to be a bad thing because all of the army that he had at Vale kind of turned against them. So, but he has the best intentions for people, and I really like right here, he kind of confided in Weiss. He's like, you always have a home at our school, and, we'll be back up before you know it. And she even mentioned, she was like, I trust him, which is, I'm just really happy and thankful to have Ironwood around, just because Ozpin's missing and Crow's kind of doing recon. So we kind of need somebody to look to make sure everything stays in line and doesn't go to shit. But exploration of Atlas Academy through Weiss's eye. Oh my God, Team Funky, yes! And they're gonna have a concert in the coming weeks, so that'd be super cool because like Team Funky is basically like a music team. You have Neon basically raves, so she kind of like dances. You have Flint, who has the trumpet, and then you have the other two. So that'd be super cool to see them at the concert, because she's gonna be singing. So it'd be kind of cool if they're like the background music for her. But that would be super fucking dope. But yeah, it just sucks. Slow jazz music or just speedy jazz music's pretty cool too. But I'm just thankful for Ironwood right here. And then immediately, literally, the second Ironwood walks out the door, he starts his shit. He's like, did you forget your manners while you were gone? And like the face she gave, she's like, oh my fucking God, let's, here we go. And I just really don't like this guy at all. Like, what he stands for, how he presents himself, how he's very manipulative and exploitive. What I will say, though, is I really like his study. So the one thing that I liked the most about this shot was, like, no matter what was going on, whether he was talking to Ironwood, whether he was talking to Weiss, or even if he's in the study by himself, lost in his own thoughts, the only kind of ambience that you heard was a ticking clock. And I don't know why, it just set the mood, it just set the tone for this setting really well. Of like, I feel like any kind of study would be just like that. You have a shit ton of books, you have a desk, you have like your rolling chair and stuff like that, like your rolling like computer chair, whatever, and you just have a ticking clock, and that's all you hear. And normally that would probably drive somebody insane to just only hear that, but because that's all I heard, there was no music, there was no like ambience in the background, it was just his study and the ticking clock, and I really like that. Like, the small detail kind of really went a long way for the scene. that clock pissed me off. Wow. Yeah, the only place in the house that's dark and gloomy. Yeah, Klein also mentioned it too. He was like, it's always very cold in his study, and then he kind of flipped the script by like switching his personality up, which I will get to that. Yeah, there's a chessboard too, like the whole kind of chess game thing going on. That's that I expected something like that to be there. Like, chess is a very mental kind of game, and it's all about wit and capitalizing and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised that something like chess is there. They're a very high prestige family. I wouldn't be surprised if they have fencing lessons. They know how to sing, and they know how to play the instruments like the piano and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised by that at all. There was a clock. Yeah, if you listen, you can hear like the tick-tock of the clock. Yeah, but the study looked super freaking awesome. I really, really liked how it looked, and just again how like the tick-tock ambience kind of set the mood for that scene too. And here as well. So in the study, like, she's talking to her dad. You see Whitley's picture on the desk. You see the only other picture that you really get a good shot of in the house is again in the piano room of Whitley. And the family, aside from the family portrait, everybody else looks miserable as fuck besides Whitley. I like it's almost evident that he is the favorite for Jacques in terms of just the perfect kid to lead his company, or just the fact that he's like really hard on the other two, and he just treats Whitley like the perfect child, like the golden kid, basically the spoiled third child. So yeah, I just noticed that, and immediately I was like, huh, he's got a picture of him on the desk, but you have two other daughters on top of that. So again, it's probably just the image of the family name, of having a male lead to be the heir and stuff like that. So yeah, like you have this other picture right here on the second shelf, but I couldn't really make out what it was, if it was like the mother, or if it was Winter, or if it was just another picture of Jacques. I mean, of Whitley. But again, I just thought that was pretty interesting to note. Like, okay, like the context clues definitely show that he is the favorite out of all of them. And again, here, real grade A piece of shit, this guy. So he wants to host a charity event to show people that Atlas is on their side. Like, people don't trust Atlas. People think that they had something to do with the fall of Beacon and Vale and stuff like that. So he wants to do a charity event to show people like that they're on their side. And he's using Weiss. Like, he's using her to the nth degree at this point. He wants her to sing at the event. And I was so fucking pissed. He was like, I think it would make a lot of people happy. It's like, no, it'll make you and your bottom line happy to kind of lie to people. Because the way that he kind of said it, too, made it seem like we have to show them that we're all victims. Like, we have to show them that. Not necessarily that we believe in that ourselves, but if we show them that and they believe it, then they'll be in our good graces. The embargo will be lifted, and then we can start making money again. And she's like, the fuck? Like, if you're going to do a charity event, that's fine, but you didn't even ask me. You're just basically telling me to dance, to sing. And super fucking conniving, super manipulative, and I don't like him at all. Like, I hate him, dude. I don't like him one bit. And I'm pretty sure that was what they were trying to go for here. Because right here, too, he's even like, I think it would make a lot of people happy. And she was like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And again, just manipulative as fuck. Like, and her, like, she, I don't know. I feel really fucking bad for her, dude. Yeah, he's a businessman. He's a businessman first, and he's a father and a husband second, if at all, for his kids and for his wife and for his company and for the money that he makes and for the business that he's losing because of the embargo. So he's trying to make things happen as soon as possible so he can get things back on track so he can start making money again, which is like, I don't know. I just really don't like this dude. Yeah, like, I literally thought of Mirror Mirror Part 2 this entire time. Like, I feel so much for Weiss, and I'm so glad that she's grown to be one of my favorite characters, because this is, like, real. This is, like, people go through stuff like this, especially if they have, like, a family where there's a lot expected of them, and they don't get to live the life that they want, and then they have other siblings who are kind of treated differently. And again, I felt like, I mentioned it too, like, I kind of fell into that category growing up. Obviously not to these extremes, but I felt very much like neglected in terms of proving myself and just showing, doing what I was told and everything like that, and not necessarily getting what I felt I deserved growing up, and then having my brother who got everything, growing up, being just based on the fact that he was born after me and he was the last child. And then my oldest sister just got a lot of the flack too, being the oldest, having a lot to set an example for us, and just for herself and for my parents. So it was like, I completely and utterly understand where her lifestyle is and where she comes from and how she's feeling because of all of this that's happening. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can too. Yeah, I did see the family portrait. It's just depressing as fuck. Not much else you can say. And Mirror Mirror Part 2, yeah, it definitely shows how she's grown over the years. And this is nothing new. This is just more of the same thing. And that's why she just sighs and she just deals with it. She's like, all right, I'll continue practicing. Because it's like, you're going to tell him no? You saw how pissed off he was getting talking to Ironwood. So I can only imagine what would have happened, or how he would have reacted if she was like, I can't, or I don't want to. She just does it because it's for the people and it's for her family. And she knows that she has an expectation to set for being a Schnee, which at the end of the day sucks, which is why Winter's not there. Winter would rather deal with the military and deal with like official business versus dealing with her dad, which is kind of fucked up. And he definitely seems the type of person that's like, okay, my daughter's not going to listen to me. I'm going to cut her off until she calls me. And I don't know. It's really fucked up for him to do that. And I don't know if Rooster Teeth is kind of allowing this. Like, if this is what Rooster Teeth wants us to feel, if they want us to feel like this is a piece of shit, I fucking hate him. But I still feel that there's more to him. I really want to believe, like, in the back, like his picture in the background, he looks a lot younger. Hold on, let me see if I can show it a little bit better. He looks a lot older. Like, he looks a lot like, well, he's got all white hair now, so I'm pretty sure the stress just got to him over the years. Either that or he's a lot older than he was in that picture. But I really want to believe that he wasn't always like this. Because it wasn't until he took over the company that Weiss mentioned, she mentioned in Volume 2, ever since her father took over the company's operated in a moral gray area. So I would like to think that he wasn't as strict, he wasn't as aggressive or just cold prior to taking over the company's, being the head of the company. But only time will tell. Yeah, and he looks like the fucking Lorax with that mustache. I forgot to mention that too, but he definitely looks like the Lorax here. And in the opening too, like just the fucking, like between him. Okay. Let me ask right here. Who do you think has the better mustache? Papa Schnee or Watts? Dr. Watts from episode 1. Who do you think has the better mustache? I definitely want to know that. Yeah, I want to know more about Weiss's grandfather too. If he hasn't kicked the bucket already. Penny will return. I hope. Jacques, Klein. Oh yeah, or Klein. Oh my God. Professor Port. Watts, Port, Watt. It seems like Watts is winning this. Holy shit. Yeah. Klein has a good mustache too. I think at the end of the volume I'll do like a poll video, like asking people who do you think has the better mustache between Watts, Port, Klein, Watts, Port, Klein, or Papa Schnee, unless somebody else just comes through with like an even godlier freaking mustache, like the curled ones. But yeah, so I think this wraps up, Papa Schnee and the whole dynamic that's going on here. And then we get into Klein. So I am so thankful for Klein. I am so happy that this guy exists because the Pringles guy, that's pretty funny too. Because he seems to be the only quote unquote friend that Weiss has at home. This is the only time that she smiles was when Klein was around. Not when her father was around, not when her brother came about, not when she heard about her mother drinking in the garden. Her sister's not there. And I was really happy to see her interaction with Winter because it seems like she really cares about her sister, but she literally never ever sees her ever since she went to the military. But it seems like Klein is her only respite, like is her only friend and is the only person that kind of is there to keep a smile on her face. And I was super fucking happy to see that. And changing my vote to Klein, the cake butler. Yeah, so like again, he may be the presumed cake butler from RWBY Chibi. We're not entirely sure. I don't know if he is the only butler because it's the only butler that we've heard of so far. Whitley mentioned, Klein made crepes, and then the father was like, Whitley will show you the way. Klein will show you the way out. And then Klein went to her bedroom to be like, your father wants to talk to you. So I'm wondering if he is like the only butler there, or if there are others that are just not as important or not as prominent. But this is very important because it seems like Klein is a reference to the Seven Dwarves. And this is so fucking cool because Weiss is Snow White. White Snow in German, that's her name, and she's inspired by Snow White, and Snow White was involved with the Seven Dwarves in the fairy tale. So it seems like this is her only friend, for the most part. And getting into it, we have, oh my god, this is so fucking cool. We have evidence of his kind of multi-personality based on the Seven Dwarfs. So Klein, his name is Klein Seiben. Klein in German means seven. Seiben in German means small. So, or small seven, or seven small. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So it's seven small. So basically seven small, like seven dwarves. And they're all like compact into a different personality for him. Like he was like, oh, you know what I think it's a way for him to balance all that hot air. And he was angry, his eyes were red, and then immediately after that, like, Weiss was laughing. She was like, oh my gosh, like, keep it down, he's right in the next room. And like, they just chat a chuckle, and then he sneezed, his eyes turned blue, and then he was just like, he was speaking like in gibberish, and then he sneezed again, and then he sees her smiling, and he was like, oh, there's my, you know, happy little snowflake. And his eyes changed from red to blue to yellow. And those were three kind of personalities. You had grumpy, you had sneezy, and you had happy. So those are three of the seven dwarves expressed right there, each one having a different eye color. So we still have Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, and Bashful to look forward to. And I don't know if his neutral state isn't considered one of them, but I thought that was so... I lost my fucking shit. Like, the second he sneezed, I put it together. I was like, the seven dwarves. And at first, I thought Jean's sisters were the seven dwarves because he has seven sisters, and I thought those seven sisters represented the seven dwarves. But it seems like it's all based on Klein, and I love how they kept it with the dynamic of Weiss, because she is essentially the inspiration for Snow White, which was so fucking cool. Like, I love this so much. To be precise, 7 Cybin, so they changed it a bit. Oh, okay. So it was small 7. Yeah, I messed that up a bit. My bad. But yeah, so it was light brown is Doc. Well, Doc, I don't know if that well, Doc was more of like the more like, he was just a lot more nicer and polite. But Doc had a speech impediment in Snow White. Like, he would say, it's beyond the chorus, I mean the forest. And, like, he would talk like that. Like, he would mix up his words. So I don't know if that is Doc necessarily, because he doesn't seem to have any kind of speech impediment like that. But that's kind of Doc. That was Doc's cue. He was really polite and nice, and he was obviously the doctor, but he had a speech impediment. But if they don't incorporate that, then that's, I'm not going to bat an eye and be like, oh, you can't, that's not Doc, that's not accurate enough. But I was wondering that too. I was wondering if it was Doc, if he just has a neutral state, and then when he changes, it's one of the seven dwarves. So, but yeah, I thought that was super awesome. A bunch of people were saying that was Neo, and it was like, no. Like, you would have, like, Klein, like, Whitley knows Klein, the father knows Klein, Weiss knows Klein. How the hell would that be possible? How would that be Neo if, like, Neo would have to be in the family prior to, like, even this, like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Like, Klein would obviously be home, and then even if, like, how would freaking, how would Neo even be interacted with any of the family? Like, Klein made Whitley crepes, and apparently that's probably Whitley's favorite food. How would Neo know that? Or how would Klein... I don't know. Like, no, I'm not on board with the whole Neo thing, but I don't know why people even would think that based on the eye color change, because the only eye color change that we've ever seen with Neo is that her eyes change, the eye color flips, and then there's that one part where her eyes went like white, ghostly white or silver for what people want to say when she saw Raven, but we've never seen her eyes turn like red, blue, like colors of the rainbow, like red, blue, yellow, brown. So no, I'm not inclined to believe that that's Neo at all. It's summer. Oh my god. He has the blue eyes white dragon and Sharingan. His mustache is also a gun. Wow. Yeah, green eyes too. But you get what I mean. Like, that's all based on the fact of her having to cover up for herself. But how the hell does she look like an old-ass butler guy? She just has a change of costume. It's not like she's changing everything about her. What Klein is why. But yeah, I just thought that was super fucking cool to see Klein as one of the seven dwarves. Super fucking badass to see him. I'm really happy that he makes Weiss happy and keeps her kind of like all together in terms of her not just being completely miserable at home, and I can't wait to see more of him. So there's that. And then, so that is basically everything to do with Weiss and her family. Oh boy. Now we're going to shift things up. We're going to get into Team Ranger. And then everything else that follows with that. With the nightmares. So, last week I mentioned in episode 1, based on the opening, Hold on. Keep it together. Last week I mentioned that we never saw RWBY. We never saw RWBY like a deeper side to her. We've never seen her sad, like depressed. We've never seen her kind of in a state of. We've never seen her beyond what we saw of Volume 3 of how she dealt, like how she initially responded with losing Penny and seeing Pyrrha get killed. And it seems like now we're kind of seeing the effects of it, because she's dealt with death. Like her mother's been dead. You know, she didn't really know what was going on when she was younger, but she knew like she knew the concept of death and about like her mother's not around anymore, and up until now she's never really experienced what she's experienced now with having to deal with losing people and moving forward and not giving up and kind of not letting that change her and still, you know, living the path of a huntsman. And it seems like now we're seeing a bit of that take its toll on her mentally. She seems to have nightmares, a form of trauma. We hear, you know, Pyrrha in her head, like Pyrrha, like when she saw Pyrrha get shot with the arrow, and you know her silver eyes, and she hears chanting of Jean, Jean. So this is kind of like the first instance of seeing the trauma, seeing the aftermath of everything that she's been dealing with and how it's affecting her mentally. And I mentioned this last week that we never saw any of that. I've always wondered how she's been coping with that and dealing with that, because you can't just brush that off to the side. Like you really can't. You have to find a way of dealing with it and not letting it overtake you, but kind of taking it in stride as you go, as you keep moving forward and stuff like that. So, like she's waking up in shock, she's having nightmares and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, I was just really happy to see that. Well, I wasn't happy to see it, but I'm glad to see that she isn't kind of this person that's unfazed by anything. Like she's dealing with it just like a normal person does. She's taking it in stride. She's dealing with it every step of the way, and she's not letting it affect her that much. So I'm really happy that I got to see that, and I was super happy to also see that they sleep, they like camp out, which is super cool. They all have their matching sleeping bags. Ren has a purple one, like for like the little strand in his hair. Nora has a pink one. RWBY has a red one, and then John has a yellow one. So I kind of thought that was cool that they just camp out, like just straight up camping. So I thought that was pretty cool. And this scene was one of my favorites in the episode. It just was so like it was just like them traveling. They'll have smiles on their faces. They're talking about, you know, oh, we're lost. Where are we going? We're going to Shion Village. Jean would fit so perfectly in Camp. I haven't seen Camp yet, but I know it's about camping and, you know, all the outdoors kind of stuff. And I know Miles voice acts in Camp as well. I think he's the camp counselor. I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet, but Jean mentioned, oh, Shion Village, that's where my family went. We went camping here. We went hiking here. And I was just thinking, I was like, yo, he would fit in perfectly in Camp, like as a camper. I don't really know like how like anything beyond just the fact that it's a camping kind of show. But I thought that was super fucking cool, and it was just really happy and uplifting, and you see like RWBY looking over to the side, and you see him talking about stuff, and then this shot right here, oh, I didn't put the shot in, but the fact like he was talking about his hair, somebody did a fan art last year not last year, the year before, Volume 2, after it was mentioned that Jean had 7 sisters. And he mentioned that he got his own tent because his sisters kept making pigtails for him. Somebody did a fan art of that. Somebody did a fan art of Jean with pigtails. They did a fan art of Jean as a flower girl. Like, basically his sisters dolling him up. So I thought that was super cool that's basically canon at this point. I thought that was super cool to see, and I was like, oh shit, like that's actually true. I don't have the clip. I don't have the picture of it. I didn't have time to find it before the live stream. But for those of you who've seen it, like just look up Jean Flower Girl. Like look up Jean RWBY Flower Girl or Jean RWBY Pigtails or something like that, and you'll find it. It's so fucking adorable, and it's like a family photo kind of thing. So it's kind of like what he went through when he was a kid. But yeah, I thought that was super freaking awesome to see that. And then, you know, they're getting to Shion Village, and that's where they're supposed to go. Like, based on the last episode, they said like they're looking for an they were told that like a working airship got there, and that's how they're going to be able to get, to Mistral a lot quicker. And then they instantly are like, nope, fuck this shit. Like, no, the place is burned to the ground. It was attacked. Everybody's dead. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and it's just more. It's just more about dealing with loss. It's just more about not being enough, not having enough time, not being able to do much outside of what you can. And I don't know. It fucking sucked, dude. It really did. Like, and then, like right here, you see the huntsman, and you see Ren trying to like talk to him and try to find out what happened. Apparently, it got taken over by bandits, and then the panic brought Grim. And I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me, like. This is like a day in and day out kind of thing. Like, we just saw a village last episode that's fine. They're making by. They don't have that Geist dealing with it. They don't have to worry about that Geist anymore. And then you come to a village like this, and just like that, a village can just be destroyed instantly. And they choose to live that lifestyle. And I think, like, I understand, like, this is just more about loss and about dealing with loss and dealing with, terrible situations like this, but I think this was more of a setup for Ren and Nora. And I say that because Ren and Nora, like, more so Ren. So this part right here, like these two scenes right here, like right off the bat, I was like, why is Ren taking point? Like, Ren is just, like, he dropped his bag and he was just walking off, like, to see the huntsman. And then after the whole thing with finding out about, what happened, he's like, he's walking off and his team's behind him. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And then the next shot too, you see him in the background again, like he's just like lost in himself. And I think this hit him more than anybody else. And I've mentioned this too. Ren and Nora kind of had like tough times growing up. From what they mentioned, they don't have a family, they don't have a home to go to, they're orphans, they only have each other. Based on Boop, they've only ever had each other. Volume 2, he wanted to shadow a huntsman to a nearby village, and I think that's because he's lived in these villages. I wouldn't be surprised if he's from, like, one of the neighboring villages, or if he lives around here, or if one of the villages that were destroyed were once where he lived, and Nora lived, or whatever. And I think this was more of, like, Ren having, like, to relive that. Like, reliving the fact of, this has happened before. I've seen villages get destroyed. I've seen people get killed. And I couldn't do anything then. And now I'm back in that same situation. I don't know. I felt so fucking bad. Just because it was like, I've wanted to know more about Ren and Nora's past so bad. But they seem to be in the thick of it right now. Just based on the context of how everything went down. This seems to be like what they've been dealing with. And then again right here, like they were like, should we bury him? And he was like, let's get out of here. And it's kind of crazy how you see the flipped script, the script being flipped on them. A friend of mine, Josh, mentioned this to me the other day. We were in a Skype call talking about the episode, and he mentioned, and I'm inclined to agree with him, Nora is mainly the proactive one, and Ren is more of like the passive person, like on the back line, just like goes with whatever Nora goes with and just deals with it. He's been more, like the first 3 volumes, he was very passive, he was very cool, calm, collected. Now he's the one that's like, let's get out of here. Let's help this huntsman. He's already dead. He's got a lot on his mind and he just wants to get out of there. And then you have Nora that's like more of like the one that's kind of worried about him. So it seems like it hit Ren more so than anybody else. And you have like Jean and RWBY who are kind of, dealing with it. They don't really know what to do about the situation because they've never been in a situation like this. So it was just very, I don't know, I felt for him, you know what I mean? I really wanted to see his past and Nora's past, but now that we've kind of, reached the tip of the iceberg, if you will, it seems like it's not a pretty pass for both of them. And this is something that he's dealing with and going through again. And I clipped this part right here because that's the airship that was supposed to work to get them out of here. And it got destroyed along with everything else. So, I felt really bad for Nora, too, because Nora's usually the upbeat one. Nora's like, she didn't know if the huntsman was going to make it, and then the huntsman died, and that she was like, everyone's like, what the fuck do we do? And Ren's like, let's get out of here. I don't know, I felt really bad for them, too, and then it seems like, so this scene right here, that seems like a calling card. Bandits were the ones who attacked the village. And I don't know if this has anything to do with Salem, if this was Tyrion rolling through, or if this was literally just bandits. But that looks like a brand or something like that. And based on the reaction that Ren and Nora had, they know who did it. Or they looked at each other, they're like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? That's the response that I got from that. Like, Nora looks at it, she gets serious, and then she looks at Ren, and they're like, yeah. So, I don't know if there's this tribe or if there's this fucking group of, bandits and thugs and raiders or whatever you want to call them who just go about killing villages and pillaging and stuff like that and stealing. But I wouldn't be surprised if the same people that did this to them or whatever. And then, again, the Grimm just following up immediately afterwards. Bandits and Grimm. Yeah, some people thought it was the elephant Grimm, but it's like a single paw print, like a single print, and the fucking elephant Grimm are massive. You would think that it would have just bulldozed all of those buildings. So I don't know. It seems to be, it could be a calling card, it could be footprints or whatever, but the fact that they both looked at it and just looked at each other, if it was just a Grimm footprint, then they could just both know that. Like, for both of them to have that moment right there and just look at each other and just know. I'm expecting that it's something more than just a footprint. A giant Minotaur Grimm would be fucking dope. I can't deny that. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt, it looks like hooves. It does look like hooves. I mean, it does look like that, but the only reason why I'm inclined to agree that it's something more, I mean, it could be. It definitely looks like if there was a giant Minotaur, that's like its footprint. But, like, why would they look at each other then? Like, why would they both look at each other like, are you thinking what I'm thinking, or you know what this is? Because they both looked at it like they knew what it was. Then again, I don't know why this group of bandits would leave a calling card here like, we did this. Like, okay, and unless they were well known, or unless they were... Because Mistral is home to thugs and thieves and assassins and mercenaries and stuff like that. So you're going to come across bandits and stuff like that. So I'm more along, like, again, I'm just more along the lines of agreeing that it has something to do with actual, like a group, like of bandits or raiders or something like that. So yeah. There's only one point. Yeah, don't hooves have kind of like two kind of points coming out of the ends of the feet? So because basically Minotaurs have like not hooves, they kind of basically like have hooves like horses. So it could be that. I mean, it could be anything at this point. We don't fucking know. But I'm just deciding, I'm just basing what I feel that it is, just based on how they responded. Because if it's a Minotaur Grimm, then who's to, like, there should be more than one of them out there. So it shouldn't have been that much of an importance for them two to kind of respond and react the same way that they did. But yeah, like, I just noticed that, and then it seems to be taking its toll on Ruby and Jean, because Jean follows up with, I'm just sick of losing people, and he's like, he has his hand on his head, like, there's only so much that he could take. And it really hurts to watch the characters go through this, because, it's one thing to experience loss and death, but it's another thing to actually, like, witness it. Like, they saw the huntsman die, and it's just death after death after death. Like, Penny, Pyrrha, presumably Ozpin, civilians and people at Beacon, now this huntsman, this entire village, and it's like, what can they do? They're always they just miss it by a margin. Like, maybe if they had shown up, they could have stopped it, or they could have helped them. But that's not to say they haven't already been helping other villages. They helped that other village, prior with the Geist last episode. So, I mean, there's only so much they can do, but I really feel like the trauma, like kind of like the PTSD is getting to them a lot more than I want it to. Like mainly because RWBY, like she's the youngest of everybody. She's younger than everybody, and she's dealing with a lot of stuff that some of them haven't even gone through. Like Ren and Nora probably have gone through some of it, and Jean, for the most part, is taking it a lot harder than everybody else, you know, based on like Pyrrha and stuff like that, and just growing as a huntsman more for everything else. Hey, Amber, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. I really like the comment that you left in my live reaction. I really appreciated that. But yeah, so we get back into it with another nightmare. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm not gonna. So I'll just say this. I'm just gonna say this because you guys will see the reaction this weekend. But I had to watch the episode a second time to pick up on like the context of what was going on. Just because I was like a defeated fucking person after. I felt like the worst. I felt like the worst possible thing in the world could have happened to me. Like I felt so heartbroken, and I think this episode definitely took the cake for just hitting like the heartstrings the worst for me. More than anything, like in a good way, but in a bittersweet way, just because like, I don't know, it just hurt. It hurt me so much to watch this and just see everything that was happening. Like I was just losing it right here because I was like, okay, why are we hearing Pyrrha? Why are we hearing? Okay, at first, like we heard Pyrrha in the nightmare that RWBY was having, but then we heard her voice again, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why can we hear Pyrrha's voice? Please don't tell me is she back? Is she like?" I didn't know what to think because it was like, how is this possible? Like, is RWBY dreaming? Like, because you saw like those little fireflies flying around, so I was like, is she dreaming? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I hearing Pyrrha? And then, like, and I really like these shots, too. I like the fireflies in the night. I just love the night shots that they did, like the lighting that came in the shade and stuff like that. Props to Rooster Teeth for doing that, too. But I literally started bawling my fucking eyes out the second I saw this. And it just continued for the rest of the episode. Like, I couldn't think about... I wasn't even processing what Jean was doing. I wasn't processing the fucking waves that he was making, the trees that would look like that they were cut down in the area, or like the fact that he was training. I was just fucking broken. I was literally like, I tweeted about it too. I was like, I've never been more heartbroken in my life than watching this episode. Like, and then immediately after, like I ended recording, like I stopped recording and I was still like that for like another 20 minutes. And I went and rewatched the episode today because I had to rewatch it because I didn't get to pick up everything that I watched the first time around because I was just fucking broken. And it was like, he is still pushing. Like he's training most likely every night to get better because of her, knowing that she's not alive anymore, knowing that he wants to get stronger and he wants to do more and he wants to get better at protecting people and being a stronger fighter that she believed in him to be. And I think the worst thing that I think it was like the worst part of it, what she said was, I'll always be with you, Jean. And it was like, technically she's right. She's a part of like her the metal of her weapons are with Jean, and his kind of sword and shield kind of almost mimics almost hers, like the metallic, like the fact that the shield's metallic with his like his arm guard, and like he can like his shield and sword can kind of like he can use one inside it, like he can put one in the other, kind of like almost how hers worked. Like she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong that she's always with him, but it was just so bad. She was like, I'll always be with you. Like in her head, she's like physically, like I'll always be around. I'll always be a part of your life. I'll always be a part of your team. And it's like, you're dead now. So that was like the worst of it for me. To see that, like what she went through, and she really wanted to be like, Jean, I love you. Like she tried so hard to say it. She tried so hard to say it. She was like, Jean, that silence was the worst. That silence was the worst when she was just trying to say it. She was like, Jean, and then you see RWBY in the background too, just watching everything that's happening. Yeah. I couldn't deal, dude. I couldn't deal with it. This was like the worst. This was literally the worst of it for me. And thank God, whoever told me on Twitter, they were like, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but make sure you have tissues for this episode. Thank fucking God for you, dude, because if it wasn't for you, I would have been a hot mess, dude. But because like I was like, okay, something's going to happen. What could happen in the second fucking episode that would get me emotional? And I mentioned it too. I was like, how the fuck are you going to do that in the second episode? Yeah, I think the fact that he knew what she was going to say makes it worse, yeah. Oh, dude. I wish I only sniffled and teared up. I was literally just fucking... I wouldn't say I was hysterical, but it was so bad. Like, look at him. Training... Oh. And he's dealing with it the same way RWBY is, but in a different way. Like, RWBY's having, like, nightmares and is generally sad about things. Like, my friend Josh mentioned this, too. Like, they're both dealing with, like, trauma and loss at the same time, but in different ways. Like, RWBY is having nightmares, she's having, like, PTSD, and she's generally sad, and Jean is, like, pretty much upset and angry with things, like, the way that he's training, and just going through everything, recording that, playing over and over and over and over. That must be fucking eating away at him. Like, it must be just tearing him apart. Yeah, like, I'm glad to be a part of your life. You know, and he's just like training every fucking night. And I thought it was super cool to see this. When I rewatched it again, it reminded me of Link, like his like basically his efforts were kind of like Link's efforts in the game. And he kind of has like a wind scar kind of thing. Like he slices, like he strikes like around him, and you see like this shockwave go by, and it reminds me of like Wind Scar for any of you guys who watched Inuyasha. And I think the results of it are really good. Like you see a bunch of stumps, like tree stumps. Maybe he's been cutting those trees down, and like his scroll is on one of the tree stumps too. So I wouldn't be surprised if like he's growing that much to where, I don't know if that's his semblance. Maybe it's just the effect of how strong his strikes are. But that'd be super fucking cool either way if he had like wind slicing kind of a semblance attack. That'd be pretty dope. He's an inspiration to every underdog without a gun sight. Nice one there. I can talk about it, but if this was actually playing, like if the episode was actually playing, it would be so hard for me to just make it through, because the music did it for me. Just knowing what was going on mentally for him was the worst. Like, I was mainly crying because it was like, it's like, I know what it's like. Like, it was just the fact like she's gone, and he knows that, and we know that, and nothing will change that, but that's all he has left of her. And that's what's been keeping him going for months and months and months. And the opening, just seeing how he's improved, you know, with being not only a team leader, but actually, like, he's come set, like, look at Jean in Volume 1. Look at Jean in Volume 1, and then look at this Jean. It's tough, and it's hard to be like, oh, nice, he's grown, he's improved at the cost of that growth. But I couldn't be more proud of him as a character either. Jean's one of my all-time favorite characters. I relate so much to him, just based on how he was like goofy and no one took him seriously, and he was bullied and picked on early volumes, and now he's actually like coming into his own as a man, as a warrior. And, Pyrrha, like, it's all thanks to Pyrrha, and it's all thanks to... He could have easily just broken down. He could have easily just been like, I can't deal with this. Pyrrha's gone. I fucked up. I couldn't stop her. I wasn't strong enough to help her. And he could have easily just shut down. But he was like... But he's carrying on for her. He's carrying on for his team. And while everyone else is sleeping, he puts in the extra fucking work, and he gets shit done. And, I fucking love him for that. I'm so fucking happy to see all that. And this right here, too. Like, she was like, I'm happy. I'm just happy to be a part of your life. I've never known someone who's more determined to better themselves. And it's like, Rooster, how the fuck could you do this? Like, the second fucking episode. The second episode. It was just really hard to just be like, to see him go through that. And right here too, you have like Jean and you have like RWBY, and they're both dealing with it in different ways. You have Jean training, same thing, shield up, right foot forward, same like recurring cycle, just replaying over and over and over. Like, that's making him stronger, but at the same time, like, that has to be killing him, like, deeply on the inside. And then RWBY just sees it as, it sucks. It really does. And that's kind of what's been triggering her nightmares too, I would think, like, because she's been dealing with it while she sleeps, and while she sleeps, Jean's doing this. So, it's fucking determination. But thankfully that was the rest of the episode, because the rest of the episode followed with me immediately just like, I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe it. I don't even know what more to say about that, because it was just so hard to deal with that. Like it was like episode 1 was already bad enough because she was still with him in spirit. Like, her weapon was a part of his, like the trimming in the armor and like the sash kind of represented the fact that Pyrrha will always be with him, but Pyrrha is still very much influencing Jean with the training that he's going through. And it was so hard for me, guys. Like, it was like the hardest thing that I had to go through for RWBY so far. Like, losing Penny was really bad, and losing Pyrrha was even worse, but to just... because it felt like I was reliving that again. I was reliving the fact of acknowledging the fact, and I really hope that this sets... I really, like, seriously hope that this sets the record straight for people who are still thinking that Pyrrha is alive. Like, because at this point, it's denial. Like, at this point, it's... Like, she's gone, essentially. And, it just really, like, it was such a fucking gut punch to the, like, it was like a kick to the stomach, not even a punch to the stomach. It was like someone just fucking full throttle kicked me in the stomach during this episode. And you guys will obviously see that, but it was, like, unlike anything that I've ever had to deal with RWBY. I know I get emotional with the show, that's just because I'm so invested. And Pyrrha was my favorite character. I can honestly say that Pyrrha was my absolute favorite character. From, her interaction with everybody, being such a nice, polite friend who always looked out for everybody and thought of everybody else before herself, and stood for what was right, did what was right, tried the very best she could, and died, for her resolve. Died with her resolve intact. And the fact that she was able to influence at least one person in Jean is more than enough, because he's living for her. He's living through her training. He's living with her in spirit with his weapons, like being the inspiration, the sash. It just sucks that she's gone, like literally is gone. And I don't know if we'll ever get like another instance of Pyrrha like this, because this was like, it's like a recording, so it's like we'll never get anything of Pyrrha again other than maybe like a speech here or there, but that was the absolute fucking worst for me to go through. Absolute worst. So anyone want some pumpkin pizza? Oh, dude. That was another callback too, like last episode. Like, Pumpkin Pete, she was on the cereal box, and was like, he must have really liked the cereal because he didn't even notice until Weiss mentioned something about it in last volume. But it was just, again, very, very, very bittersweet to just deal with something like that. You know, there's only so much I can say about it before I actually start, you know, getting super emotional about it. And I'm trying to just work my way around that because I watched this episode earlier today and I was just like, I have like my tissues over here still just because I was literally watching the episode before I started this, and it was like, I think this is the new chapter 9 for me. Like the Penny fight, like losing Penny, I only watched that episode I think 3 times. When it first came out, when Rooster Teeth reacted to it, and then when I saw it in the Tug screening. Those are the only 3 times I've ever watched that episode. Like this episode, I want to watch it more. Like I want to be able to watch it as many times as possible and cry my eyes out every time I see that scene, because it's like that's like the best send-off for the character. That's the best send-off for Pyrrha, in my eyes. You know, to see her again, Volume 3. You know what I mean? Who would have thought we'd see Pyrrha again? Like obviously in a different form, but I feel so bad for everybody else who like went through like the same thing I did. And I went to Twitter too immediately afterwards, and it was like the same thing. People were like, "I can't deal with this early in the morning." Someone was like, "I made the mistake of watching this at work." But yeah, I mean, essentially that's the episode at that point. We're only an hour and a half through, so we still have like another half hour. If you guys want to get into questions, I can definitely answer any questions you have. But for the most part, the episode was amazing. We learned more about Weiss, about her family. Her mother is alive, you know, an alcoholic, which sucks. Her father's an asshole, a douchebag, a dickhead. A businessman first, a father and a husband second, thinks more about money than genuine, you know, understanding for the people and his family. You know, Weiss, it sucks that she's back home. Klein's a fucking badass. I love the fuck out of Klein. And I really hope we see more of him. I would love to see Klein kind of like assist Weiss in maybe escaping or maybe even leaving with her if she ends up finding a way to leave. Just so she's not alone in her journey. Shields out for Pyrrha. Oh my god. Damn, I missed like an hour of the stream. Don't worry, the stream's going to be uploaded to my channel, so you can catch up on anything that you missed out on. Get wrecked, Jacques. Yeah, Whitley, little shit. Very smug, very overconfident, very, like, I don't know, I feel like he thinks he has something to prove, you know, being the youngest and whatnot. I don't know. What's your opinion on Ironwood's new appearance? I like it. It's not over the top. It's like not an over the top change. Like he mainly has like a coat change. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow, which looks pretty sick, and more masculine for him as a character. But I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Everyone has a coat tail now. You know, Blake, Yang, Ironwood, freaking Ren. So I think that's pretty cool. Do you think Jean's family will make an appearance in this volume? I'd like to think so. Just because Jean mentioned that his family always went to Shion Village. So it's like, do they live nearby? Do they actually why would they travel to a village? So I wouldn't be surprised if he's also from Mistral. But yeah, I'd really hope that we'd get to see his family. Let's see. Oh god, it's trending. What's trending? I didn't get what you said, or if you mentioned it. Do you think when RWBY was watching watch Jean practice, she blames herself in a way? I feel like naturally RWBY would want to blame. I think anybody in that situation would immediately blame themselves because you're in a position where you could have helped out, but she couldn't have, like, why, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, actually, you know what? No, I take that back because I take that back only because Pyrrha apologized to RWBY about Penny dying, and she mentioned it wasn't your fault. You know, you didn't do this. It was the person on the microphone that did it. So, in a way, I don't think she would want to blame herself because she knows at her heart of hearts she didn't cause Pyrrha to die. She only made it too late to do anything to kind of alter that from happening. She got there, like the second she landed on the roof, Pyrrha got shot. So it's like, you would have to have the instincts of like I don't even know, you'd have to have some god level of like reaction time to kind of do something about that, you know? So, I don't think RWBY blames herself, but I can't deny that she obviously feels terrible about it, because it's like they're trying to deal with the loss. Like, that's like a theme that Rooster Teeth mentioned. Like, this volume is about loss, dealing with loss, and kind of coping and, you know, helping each other through it together. So, expectations for volume 3. I couldn't even tell you, because the way that the last episode ended, like, it was like, okay, we're definitely going to see Weiss next episode. This episode, it just ended with Weiss. Weiss is going to be practicing for the concert, and then Jean's doing more of his training, and they're going to be going through day-to-day stuff. I don't know if... So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Team Ranger... At this point, it seems like it's going to be Team Ranger and whatever other party is going to be the focus of the episode. So, like, the first episode was strictly Team Ranger. This episode, it was Weiss and Team Ranger. Next episode, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Blake and Team Ranger, and then Yang and Team Ranger the next one. Or if that's how they're going to be doing it from this point on. Do you think... I hope that the concert... I hope nothing happens at the concert. To host something like that as a form of like, hey, atonement in a way, like, hey, we're on your side, we feel for everybody, we're just as affected as everybody is with the loss of Beacon and Vale. The worst thing in the world to happen would be like Grim Invasion, or Salem, or somebody from Salem's party doing something to kind of make things go awry at the concert or at the Kingdom. So I just hope that nothing like that happens. Who do you think Jean will take on 1v1 this volume? I don't think he will necessarily take on someone 1v1, but I just know that he's going to be a lot better of a fighter. Like, he was the strategist in the first episode, but I think now that we're seeing his training, it won't be too long before we see him actually fighting Grim and fighting to keep people alive and safe. Tyrion's going to be going after RWBY, so unless he kind of isolates RWBY, or if Crow's not around to kind of help her out, which is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's Tyrion versus Crow instead of Tyrion versus RWBY, because I think RWBY will have a lot harder time dealing with him if he's as deadly as I think he is, or as Rooster Teeth is making him out to be, being a part of Salem's group. But unless he's like, unless Jean is going to be able to help RWBY like that, like Team Ranger is going to be able to help RWBY if Tyrion shows up, I don't expect him to be really fighting anyone one-on-one. And I really, really hope it's a while before Jean is like the apex warrior that he's probably going to turn out to be if he turns out to see Cinder in the future. That's going to be the real test of like everything that he's dealt with. If he's going to succumb to, like, quote-unquote revenge, because I don't think that's what Pyrrha would want. I don't think Pyrrha would want him to kill Cinder out of revenge for killing her. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to see Jean, like, fuck her up or whatever, like, or somebody, like, fuck up Cinder or whatever. I don't want that. I don't want anybody to kind of go through something like that, despite everything that's happened. Despite everything that's happened, I don't want the worst for Cinder, because I feel like the end game for Cinder is worse than anything else these characters are going to go through, because I feel like Cinder's going to get fucked over by Salem in the end, and that's going to fuck up everything. Like, her whole life, she's just going to be reflecting on, like, what have I done in my life to end up in this situation that I can't do anything about now. Which is why I feel like Emerald has a better chance of getting out of there and kind of redeeming herself than anything else, because she's only been a pawn for Cinder. Cinder, like, and Mercury. Mercury seems to enjoy it a lot more, but Emerald definitely has a sense of remorse, more so than anybody else. And, to say, oh, I want the same thing to happen to Salem as to happen to Emerald, like, Emerald feels compelled to do this because she feels she owes Cinder her life. So, I don't know. Do you think Ozpin will make a return? Not anytime soon. Some people speculate that the Farmer Boy is Ozpin, like a reincarnation. I don't know. I don't really know the basis for that. There's not really much to go off of other than just throwing something at the wall and hoping that sticks as more context clues come up. But Personally, it seemed more like the kids farming and doing stuff similar to like the Spring Maiden. So I think that's a connection to the Spring Maiden more than Ozpin. Again, I could be wrong, but there's nothing that really points to anything being reincarnation. Because we don't know what really happened to Ozpin. Salem said he died, but it's fucking Ozpin, you know what I mean? So that probably wasn't even, I don't know. I'm neutral on it right now until more information. Yeah, like a lot of people are just hinting at the eyes look like Ozpin. But I mean, for the most part, anybody can have eyes. Like anybody can have any kind of eyes because it's all genetics, you know? So, what are your expectations for episode 3? I already answered that, but I don't really know. Maybe we'll see Blake next episode. Maybe we'll get more of what Team Ranger's going to be doing, how they're going to get to Mistral now, just because it seems like everything else is kind of up in the air for everything basically is just up in the air for, you know, who's going to get development when. We haven't seen Blake or Yang yet, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to see Yang for a couple more episodes. Blake's going to Menageries to see her family. Sun seems like he's going to be tailing her. He's the perfect stowaway. So, seems like Blake, not Adam, sorry, Sun. I think I said Adam. Sun is going to be tailing Blake to Menagerie to see her family. And probably going to get some development with that, seeing why she's going there or whatever. Ozpin's too OP. Yeah, like, how the hell are you going to kill off a dude we don't even know anything. We literally don't know anything about Ozpin, like, whatsoever. Oh, see you later, Dan. You have a good night. Thanks for sticking around, dude. Yeah, the RT podcast starts in half an hour, so I'm definitely going to be wrapping up pretty soon, eating. I feel like there wasn't much to talk about as much as it was the last episode. Like, the last episode was 20 minutes, and that stream went on for almost 4 hours. And, I don't know. I just feel like this episode was very short. Like, and it was a lot of stuff happening, like Weiss, Ranger, and then Jean and Pyrrha. So, I mean... No, I wouldn't say the episode wasn't lackluster. Like, it was, you know, like, they gave us what they could give us in a 12-minute setting. Like, so, I'm just saying, like, it seems like there was more going on. Well, I think another reason why the live stream last week went a lot longer was because I covered the opening, too, which now it's like the opening's already the topic of the opening's already covered, so now we just have this episode to deal with. Yeah, I just mentioned that the intro was last week, so I feel like there was just a lot more substance to talk about, and now it's just going to be getting into... And it's basically how they did it, too, because they're splitting development for characters. Like, if it was just all Weiss and her family and all that stuff, it would have been a lot more to deconstruct, but because we're splitting the time between Weiss, her family, Ranger, and the Huntsman, and just all of that stuff with Ren and Nora, and then also getting, you know, Pyrrha's thing. If you think about it, it was a 12-minute episode. It was like 4 minutes per 4 minutes per sequence. So again, it's even shorter when you think about it, if you break it down that way. What do you think the vote at Atlas Council is about what Ironwood wants to do? Oh yeah, Ironwood mentioned he has 2 seats on the council. I'm assuming that's based on his role as the leader of the military and the headmaster of the academy. So that's just based on the embargo. Like, he's like, until we can be certain that no one's going to try to attack us, we can't be fueling people's war for them. Like, because Atlas is the one that supplies people with ammunition and resources. If you take those resources away, then it prevents them from starting a war, but B, it prevents them from protecting themselves, like I said. And if Cinder and her accomplices end up going to Haven and they don't have the protection that they need, people are going to turn right back to Atlas and be like, not only did you help destroy Beacon and Vale, but you're also preventing these people from protecting themselves, which seems like you're in on it again. So I feel like it's going to bite them in the ass a lot more than they're expecting if it keeps up. Night of the Lady, you have a good Halloween too. Thank you very much for stopping by and hanging out. I appreciate it very much. Jean mentioned something in the works in addition to the embargo. Did he? I don't think I caught that then. Yeah, oh yeah, Mistral has a black market, so people can get their dust like that. But I mean, that's just going to be inflated prices and stuff like that. I don't know. It's going to be very, very... The real question is Haven going to fall this volume? Are they going to destroy Haven in a volume? Because it took 3 volumes, basically. It took 3 volumes for Beacon to fall. You know? For the Grandmaster plan to all come together, for everything to go in, you know, for everything to be... For all the set pieces to be put into play, for everyone to be in the right place at the right time, for the arrangements to be made, and then for shit to go down in the last 3 or 4 episodes of Volume 3. So the real question is, how long is it going to take this time around for Haven to fall? If it's not going to be this volume, then I'm wondering how the set pieces are going to be set up different from from the first 3 volumes, because that's going to be a different scenario as well. We don't even know what Haven Academy looks like, or how they're going to be, how their precautions are compared to Beacon's. So that's the one thing that I'm really looking forward to. How long is it going to take? It's going to fall for plot progression. Huh. I don't know if Monty ever mentioned Ozpin's semblance. A lot of people are inclined to believe that it has something to do with time manipulation or something like that. But I'm not too sure. Are the live streams going to be up on Sundays or Mondays? So the live streams typically will be up on Sundays. The reason why it's out today is because I had to babysit yesterday, so I couldn't live stream. I let people know on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, at MurderofBirds _, you can know if I have any updates or last minute things I have to mention that way. But for the most part, they will be up on Sundays, because Mondays are dedicated to me basically watching Rooster Teeth podcast, and that's going to be starting in the next half an hour. And I'm going to be wrapping up the stream in the next 5 minutes or so. But do I celebrate Halloween? Not anymore. I mean, as a kid, I went trick-or-treating, and I did my part that way. Getting candy, essentially. But I don't decorate. I mean, I'll decorate and stuff when I'm older, like if I have my own place or something like that. But I don't dress up or go out or anything like that. My city is very fucking boring and dull, and people just... It's kind of lame to where I live, just because nobody really is festive. I feel like nobody around here celebrates Halloween, or any type of holidays for that matter, aside from like Christmas, just because of the fact that it's about buying and giving people gifts instead of, you know, being together as a family and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't celebrate Halloween in terms of dressing up or decorating or giving out candy or going trick-or-treating. But yeah, I think the last time I really did anything for Halloween was like... I don't watch scary movies, but I watch people stream scary games. That's like the closest thing that I do to being festive. And I bought the Halloween RWBY t-shirt and the poster, so I did my part. Let's see. What's your favorite holiday? Probably Thanksgiving. Most likely Thanksgiving. I see family members that I don't see for a really long time at Thanksgiving, so it makes me super, quote unquote, like, no pun intended, it makes me really thankful that you know, I get to see them after so long and just catch up with them. But I think Thanksgiving, just the month of November too, because that's when it starts getting chilly, and you know, I can start wearing my hoodies and doing bonfires with my friends and just hanging out more. Like the nights are a lot more cozy and chill. Summer is really great too. Well, you said holidays. I like Christmas. I kind of don't like Christmas as much, just because growing up it's all about getting gifts, but then once you get older, like the gift of giving a gift it's a million times better than receiving a gift. Every Halloween, every Christmas, me and my friends, we've gotten gifts for each other on the holidays, and the best part is knowing that you got someone a gift that you know they're gonna like, and just seeing their reaction to opening it or receiving it. It's like the best feeling in the world. The worst feeling in the world is getting a gift super early and having to hold on to it. That's the worst feeling for me, of knowing that someone's gonna love the gift that you got them, but they have to wait so long. So Christmas is definitely a follow-up, mainly for giving gifts, and then Thanksgiving mainly for like reconnecting with people that I haven't seen in a really long time, be it family or friends. Have you been to the Philippines? No, I've never been outside of like the States. It wasn't until RTX that I actually traveled for the first time to Texas. I've never been anywhere out there before. But yeah, I've never really traveled that much. What do you think of the final scene with Jean? How is it? You will find out. You will all find out next week. Make sure you guys bring tissues to that reaction. I'll say that much. Like, someone told me, make sure you have tissues for episode 2, and my response would be, make sure you guys have tissues for any of you guys who want to watch my reaction. It was so bad. It was, like, so fucking bad. Like... Who's your favorite character? Hold on. I have favorite characters as of right now, but I'm more inclined to kind of like withdrawing from giving a favorite character until at least the show's over, because a character can kind of pull a 180 and not be your favorite anymore, or somebody else can come along. But for the most part, my top 5 favorite characters are Pyrrha, in no order, Pyrrha, Weiss, Nora, Crow, and Mercury. Those are my top 5 favorite characters. Can you just tease us? I cried a lot. Like, I mentioned it already, but the second I saw Pyrrha on Jean's scroll, I wasn't even paying attention to the episode anymore. Like, that's how instantaneous it was for me. And then the OST just made it a million times worse. I didn't miss the live stream. Yes. I don't know when you got here, but I've been streaming for about 2 hours now. And I'm just going to be wrapping up the stream pretty soon because the Rooster Teeth podcast is starting soon. But who's your favorite villain? Tyrion, without a doubt. I love characters like him, like crazy, deranged. They're just, I have a weakness for those kind of characters. For the most part, he's immediately my favorite. Hold on, let me see. Let's see. Hey Arnold, I found someone post the episode on YouTube, so could you get in contact with the right people to get it taken down? Contrary to popular belief, I don't have, like, any type of connections that people think I do when it comes to Rooster Teeth. Like, I understand, yeah, they know who I am, and I understand that they've reacted to my videos and they watch my videos, but in no way, shape, or form can I just hit up Barbara and be like, hey, can you do this for me? And she's like, yeah, sure, why not? Or anybody else for that matter. They put me on the spotlight, and they made me feel welcome. They made me feel at home with the community, and they gave me shout-outs and stuff like that, but I am in no way, shape, or form, somebody that they kind of acknowledge, like if I hit them up for something, you know what I mean, or if I tweet at them or whatever. So a lot of people assume that just because it's like, well, they actually know you by name. So I understand that, but I don't know if there's anything really that I can do. Like, I could tweet at them the episode, or maybe anybody can do that, but it's YouTube's algorithms or people just downvoting and reporting that video for themselves. Smircury. Yeah, god damn it, Barb. Where can I watch the Rooster Teeth stream? The Rooster Teeth podcast is going to be in half an hour on the Rooster Teeth website for first members. So that is going to be happening in the next 20 minutes, actually. So I'm going to be ending the stream in a few minutes. I'm just going to get through the last couple of questions. Again, thank you guys all for sticking around and hanging out. I hope for the most part that the stream was as enjoyable as it was last week. I have a feeling subconsciously that it wasn't, just because there was more to talk about and there was a lot more going on last week with the opening and the first episode versus this one. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. And it's podcast number 400, and I think it's a Halloween-themed podcast, maybe, just because today's Halloween. So that'd be pretty cool to see how things are going to be going that way, too. Arnold, don't you think the vote about the embargo, because when Papa Schnee said you're crazy to propose that to the council, he followed by, I still remember the embargo, so it's a different thing. Again, I'm not entirely sure if I missed out on something, but it seemed like that embargo was something that was in effect already, or something that was going to be kind of maintained. Oh, no, 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 no. I know what you're saying now. He says, so, no, no, no. I understand what you're saying now. So, the dust embargo is already in effect. And what he's talking about, oh, I understand now. So, he's talking about something along with the embargo. So, he says, your dust embargo has already costed my company millions of dollars, which would imply that the embargo has already started. It's already in effect. And then he mentioned what you're suggesting is absurd. So what he, like, we didn't even get the details of what he said. He was just he was like, it's out of the question. I'm not dealing with it. So yeah, holy fuck, dude. Like, I can't believe I didn't put that together. Okay, no. I definitely get it now. What's the worst scene for you? The recording, by far, absolutely, like, no question. I saw you liked my fan art of Pierre and Jean of this on Twitter earlier. What do you think? Yeah, I really like that. Like, was it the fan art of, like, the scenes from the latest episode? I really like those. Really well done. Do you think Dr. Watts wrote the Black Queen virus? You can't be too sure. He's a doctor, so maybe. But I'm not entirely sure. Does Klein have 7 semblances? Because 7 semblances, well, I kind of pitched the idea to my Patreon Skype chat last week. I was like, would it be out of the question to think that someone has more than one semblance? Because a semblance is a manifestation of the soul, and a soul, and so basically all aura users or people who have aura could potentially have a semblance. So if you have 2 semblances, does that mean you'd have to have 2 souls? Or can you manifest your aura to do more than one thing? I'm not entirely sure, but that'd be pretty cool. It reminds me kind of like Avatar, like earthbenders can also metal bend, waterbenders can also like bend different forms of water, like mist and ice and stuff like that. Basically, those kind of things. Waterbenders, I mean, the second attribute of waterbending would be like blood bending. So that's like the secondary form. So I thought it was kind of, that's what I thought of. I thought of like, if you have 2 semblances, could it be like a detachment from the primary semblance in a different way? So, what's your favorite game and why? Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is my favorite video game. Mainly like for nostalgia, the story, the characters, the gameplay. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are amazing games. And I'm going to be streaming all of those games when they come to PS4 next year. So you guys can look forward to that as well. The Man with 2 Souls. Holy fuck. It's confirmed. What? I guess it could be semi-confirmed that you could have more than one semblance or more than one soul. I mean, Pyrrha was basically going to do the same thing. Did I miss the whole discussion? Unfortunately, you did. We're on the tail end right now. Just wrapping up with questions right now. But this is going to be immediately uploaded to my channel right after, so don't worry about it. If you want to watch through the 2 hours or so of the stream, it's going to be a lot shorter than the last one. Yeah, it's about 2 hours right now. So, I'm really sorry, too, because this stream was actually supposed to be yesterday, so I feel like, for the most part, some people missed out on it because it wasn't uploaded when it was supposed to be. But that's because I had to watch my nieces. Do you vote or no? I am not getting into politics right now. I'm sorry. Politics, sports, and religion are the 3 things that I generally stay away from when it comes to any type of conversation. Based on just how just based on the nature of how people can be on difference of opinion or stuff like that. So, yeah. Don't fret. Family comes first. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just, I would have rather to have it out yesterday because now I kind of feel like I rushed this through because the podcast is starting. A Patreon guy saying hi. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for the support. Arcan P, I can't tell who you are specifically, but I appreciate it. You're wise, Arnold. No politics. Yeah. Sports is probably just as worse. Just as worse, dude. I'm not really a sports guy, but I've just heard people talking like, my team's better than yours, or this player's shit, or whatever, and just people like willing to fight another person over a complete stranger. it's beyond me. So I tend to stay away from all that stuff. But I think that's everything. Who are you gonna be for Halloween? I'm gonna be Murder of Birds. No, I'm not really doing anything Halloween, basically. I'm just gonna be watching the podcast, probably playing some Titanfall afterwards, and just relaxing for the night. So, Warriors suck, CD overrated, Cavaliers repeat, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, again, I don't want to feel super self-conscious about it, but I feel like it wasn't as good as last week's. Or maybe it was just based on the substance of what we got. But for the most part, I really do appreciate all of you guys who are excited and look forward to these. More so for the fact that 40,000 people watched the live stream after it was uploaded to my channel last week, which is fucking insane. I think I'm going to be doing these instead of actual reviews as well from now on, just because it would take too much out of me to do a review, to do a follow-up live stream discussion, and then do a concise review as well, just based on the nature of how these go every week. And then it's just more based on time constraints of how soon I can get a review out before it becomes irrelevant. So I think I'm more along the lines of having you guys along for the ride every week with these live stream discussions, and then my reactions the following week. And, basically I did this last year too, so for the most part I think it should be I feel like it's just more engaging and more exciting for everybody this time around than last year. I would like to think that more people are more excited for actually being a part of the discussion with me versus just watching my reaction and then coming back next week. So $50 says Arnold is not going to notice me. I am a shadow person confirmed. Well, buddy, you just lost $50. Church, don't worry, dude. The stream will be uploaded to my channel. It was only 2 hours. Well, an hour and 50 minutes because the first 10-15 minutes were spent just talking in the chat. But, blind reaction, live review. Yeah, basically. So I think these are a lot more people are just more engaged and involved with it than anything. We are both watching the podcast. Yay. All right, guys. But thank you guys so much for sticking around and hanging out. I'm going to catch the Rooster Teeth podcast immediately after this, so I hope you guys all enjoyed that as well. This live stream event, for any of you guys who missed it, will be uploaded to my channel within like the next 20 to 30, 40 minutes max. So if you guys want to check out, if you guys want to sit through 2 hours, I'm not going to say no one will because you guys always prove me wrong. So it's going to be 2 hours versus 4 hours. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed that. And my reaction will be uploaded next week. And you guys can look forward to that. Please bring tissues because you are absolutely going to need them. RWBY Chibi will be coming out very soon. I can't give a definitive date just because I'm prioritizing on RWBY Volume 4, but those will be coming. I apologize for the long wait. I know you guys are still looking forward to it, and a lot of people were mentioning it throughout the stream, so I don't want to kind of blow you guys off on that. But yeah, oh wow, you're from the Philippines. That's dope. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good Halloween. Please be safe. If you eat candy, check it before anything else. Have fun. And I will see you guys next week. Take care.